Hey everyone, my name is Kylie Abel and I'm a new adult fantasy writer. In today's video, I want to talk about writer rest and rejuvenating the creative energy. If you're a writer, you have probably felt that creative spark go a little bit dim at times and felt like your creative energy was depleted. So here are 9 ways that I rest and rejuvenate my creative energy so that I can keep on writing. Try a different creative outlet. Often as writers, we have more than one creative hobby. We don't just want to write. We typically have other interests. For example, myself, I love painting and drawing and coloring, but I often don't make time for these activities anymore because I feel like I should be focusing my time primarily on writing. But I realized that I don't feel as fulfilled when I totally skip my other hobbies. So I think it's important to make a little bit of time, even if it's just a few minutes. I worked on a really simple watercolor bookmark project that did not take a lot of time, but was actually really relaxing. And it fulfilled that urge to work on something else creative. So I tested my Ohuhu watercolor paints that I got from one of my stepdaughters for Christmas last year. I think working with other artistic mediums can really stimulate ideas for your writing. Perhaps you're painting and you suddenly realize that you've painted the perfect color palette for a sunset scene in which your 2 main characters, your love interests, are going to share their first kiss. But I think it's important not to ignore these other interests because they can stimulate new ideas for our writing. They can stimulate ideas for characters and creatures and world building and landscapes. They can also offer us that rest and rejuvenation. I definitely recommend trying watercolor paints if you haven't tried them before. I did find it quite relaxing, actually, and I did just a very simple bookmark project, and it didn't take much time, but honestly, it felt really fulfilling by the end. I was really happy with what I created, and it felt like I had gotten some of that rest in. Read. I don't think this one's going to come as a surprise to any writers, but an excellent way for writers to rest and rejuvenate energy is to read. Not only does it provide a relaxing experience, it provides a temporary escape, it also can spark ideas for your own novels. For me, I write fantasy, so this means that sometimes I want to read fantasy books. I want to read within the genre that I'm writing because it's also a bit of a learning experience. However, sometimes, depending on perhaps what my particular struggle is with writing at the time, sometimes I actually don't want to read within my genre because I find that it can be hard to come up with my own ideas if I'm stuck in somebody else's world. So do whatever works for you at the time. Read within your genre, read outside of your genre, but just take some time to read. Get outside. Not only does getting outside ease your stress levels, getting outside in nature is very grounding. And for me personally, I've got a bit of a scattered brain. When I'm feeling a little bit more scattered than usual, more anxious energy, I find that I struggle to write, and getting outside allows me to ground and kind of brings that scattered energy down to a manageable level. Also, getting outside can provide some very inspiring scenery for your locations and your settings in your novels. I have been hiking places where suddenly I see the perfect image and I know exactly in my book where this setting can take place. Intentional activity. By intentional activity, I mean really focusing on one thing at a time. For example, doing a puzzle. I love doing 1,000 piece puzzles. What you see me doing here is actually a 3,000 piece puzzle, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been working on it since summer of last year, so we're going on about 3/4 of a year. But this is one of those activities that I find really zones me in and reduces all of that noise in the background. Another thing that I really try to be intentional about at times is cooking a good meal. Cooking for me is one of those things that's pretty mundane. I don't really pay all that much attention when I'm doing it. But here I was really focusing on each step of making this meal. And for me, the reason this helps with writing is because if I am feeling depleted, it's often because I have been running around doing too many things, not really giving myself a break. And when I stop what I'm doing and I focus on one activity at a time, I find that brain chatter, it quiets quite a bit. And suddenly I'm able to write better. If I quiet it down doing a different activity, it actually helps me, over the next few days to have a calmer mind. This was delicious, by the way. We were making steak fajitas. I had mine on rice to avoid the gluten. Absolutely wonderful, and just was present with every aspect of cooking and eating the meal. You can even do this just with a super short, simple activity, such as playing with a pet. Even just taking time to, set your phone down, turn off any TV or external noise, and just focus in on one thing. In this case, playing with my dog, throwing his dragon, and just connecting with him and showing him attention and love. Share creative space. One of the absolute best ways to rejuvenate your creative energy is to share a creative space with others. I am so grateful to my sisters at the Hedgie House with Quill and Cup. They 100% bring me into a motivational space when I am feeling depleted, when I'm feeling confused or like I'm not good enough. I hop in our Slack group, I jump on a prickle, and I am 100% in the zone and excited to work on my novel. So find yourself a writing group, a writing buddy, and share the space with them, and you will absolutely find your creative energy. I will link Quill and Cup below in case you'd like to join me and my Hedgie sisters in the Hedgie House. I would love to see you there. Routine shake-up. Go somewhere new. Shaking up your routine is excellent for promoting new ideas, and it can also be a huge confidence builder. I find that when I shake up my routine a little bit, I get this little boost in confidence in myself, which then allows me confidence in other activities that I do, such as writing. One of the things that I did recently was we attended a Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring concert. So it's where they play the Fellowship of the Ring movie on a large screen, and there's a 250-person orchestra playing all of the music from the movie while you watch. I don't know about you guys, but I find it so awkward to show like an outfit of the day sort of thing, but I got a little fancy for the Lord of the Rings orchestra and wanted to share. Absolutely amazing. I highly recommend if this comes to a city near you and you're able to get there. So much fun. We went to Toronto to see the concert, and I'm not a huge fan of Toronto because I'm a country girl. The city is too much for me, but it looks quite beautiful in the evening when it's dark and everything's lit up. We also went out of town to Kingston not too long ago for one of my stepdaughter's cheerleading competitions. We followed that up a week later by going to Horseshoe Valley for my boyfriend's birthday. We booked an Airbnb, and it was super sweet of the host to hang a happy birthday sign and leave us some party hats. Also, if you can, book yourself an Airbnb with a hot tub because it makes a world of difference. There's nothing like resting and rejuvenating by getting into a hot tub, especially if it's snowing. There's something really magical about that. I also want to mention here that even though I think it's fantastic to mix up your routine, I think you can go too far. For me, I did this recently. We went away a couple weekends in a row. I ended up feeling really ungrounded, which led to some anxiety, which ultimately makes it harder to write. Kind of have to learn this about yourself, learn what level of ability you have to explore new things, and kind of stay within that. Shake it up, but don't shake it up too far. Mindless rest. I tend to, when I'm resting, say I'm watching a show, I tend to want to be doing something else at the same time that feels productive, which isn't rest. Try to find yourself a little bit of mindless rest. So for me, this looks like on the weekend in the morning, my boyfriend and I will grab a coffee, or in my case, a hot chocolate, and we'll watch a show in bed. Often for us, this is a Netflix comedy special. We absolutely love those. There's nothing better than starting the day with a solid laugh. Could be a nostalgic movie, like a Disney movie from the past, but basically you want to give your brain a break. You don't want to have to think about anything. It's really easy to be constantly working when you're a creative person, especially if you are building a creative business, building a side hustle. But in order to keep going, you've got to give yourself a break. Allow yourself to turn off sometime. You need to break the habit of feeling like you need to be productive in every single moment. Now, I say this as though this is something I've accomplished. It's not. I have to work on this all the time. But resting isn't really rest if you're feeling guilty during your resting time. This is something that takes practice, and I'm working on it every day there with you. Embrace movement. I know, I'm telling you to exercise, but it's true. There's a good reason I'm going to tell you this. Physical activity is good for your mental and your emotional health, which definitely promotes creativity. If I am not feeling good mentally or emotionally, I have nothing in my tank to write. I have brain fog, I can't think, I don't have ideas, I don't have the energy. Had to share the pictures of the fat tire bikes that my boyfriend and I rode. Don't have a video because it was 8.5 kilometers of up and down and twists and turns in the snow, and it was absolutely brutal. It was such intense exercise. Also, those seats are hard as rock. Studies have shown that physical activity also stimulates hormones that help heighten learning and memory function. I don't think anyone can deny that those are extremely helpful as a writer. Studies have also shown that regular exercise helps promote better sleep and can improve insomnia, which moves me into my next tip. Prioritize sleep. So everybody who knows me well knows that I am super precious about my sleep. When you're lacking sleep, your creativity, motivation, and brain function suffers greatly and can take days to return. So to relax before bed, I take melatonin gummies about half an hour before I want to be falling asleep. I'm bad at this, but I do try to put my devices away, stop working. I'll read a book, and then when it's time for me to fall asleep, I will turn on my sound machine to cut out any additional noise that may wake me up through the night. I struggle with insomnia, so I know these steps are really important to keeping myself from burning out, and I try very hard to keep a regular sleep cycle so that I can continue writing. And that's it. I'll leave you with this video of my dog creepily showing you how he rests and rejuvenates by getting quality sleep. I hope you're all doing well. I will see you in the next video. Bye!